Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to another episode of Beyond the Boundary on TOI Sports. And today we have a very interesting topic to discuss, and we have a high powered panel to discuss a very burning topic in cricket, as always. And today's topic is about Champions Trophy. Yes, Champions Trophy 2025, scheduled to be played across four venues in Pakistan and UAE, more specifically Dubai International Stadium in Dubai. But we have a problem. And what's the problem? We have a panel to discuss about that problem. The problem are the venues in Pakistan, and they are not yet ready. And we are here to talk about that with a high powered panel led by our very own KSR, K. Srinivas Rao. And he's here with us to discuss about that. Also joining us on the panel today are two former colleagues of mine and of KSR, two current colleagues of KSR, if I may correct myself, Nitin Naik, straight from the Times of India newsroom, and also Gaurav Gupta, also joining us from the Times of India office, but from a different location. We'll know very shortly from Gaurav Gupta as well. So today's topic, gentlemen, pretty simple. We had our friend and colleague Sahil Malhotra doing a story for Times of India online, and that story was about the state of the venues being upgraded for the Champions Trophy. And we saw some videos on YouTube. KSR, I'm sure you've also seen those videos. And our colleague Sahil came up with this particular story, speaking to a number of key people involved in the decision making process. Are we going to see a repeat of what happened in USA, or are we reading too much into the videos that have come out of Pakistan? KSR, let's start off with you.
No, I definitely wouldn't say that anybody is reading too much into it. Those videos are there. The local media is talking about it. It is a talking point. I was talking to some of my own sources in the cricketing establishment. I really don't want to kind of like the people just pick it up. आपने यहाँ पे किससे बात किया बताइए kind of a thing. So I was talking to people in the establishment, and nobody is okay. Nobody is telling me, "Arey Baba, don't worry, everything is absolutely fine and in place." Nobody is saying that to me. Everywhere there is a concern in place. Now the degree of concern may vary. Somebody is saying, "Arey ho jayega, tension mat lo," to the extent it's ranging from that to the other end, which is like, "Arey gayi bhais pani mein," kind of a thing, right? So emotions are ranging, viewpoints are ranging, but nobody is convinced that things are in control. And the videos which we've seen, all of us, I'm sure, well, they don't give us a picture at all that the venues are anywhere close to being ready. But can we compare this to America? Because that was an absurdity of a next level. That was a very next level absurdity, kind of trying to create, an oasis in the middle of a desert where there was nothing. America was a different story. Although that was, again, the ICC went totally wrong in how they managed it. This is also a mistake. The ICC is once again going wrong, but both are not the same. I'm sure we'll discuss more of it.
Gigi, what is your take? We've had situation in the past as well. The last couple of years, if you're working in the ICC, it's some sort of a situation where everything seems to go wrong. First, we had the 2023 ODI World Cup schedule being announced 2 months before the World Cup itself. Then you had the whole fiasco around the pitches in USA, and then the World Cup ended, and there was a big cyclone, and the victorious Indian team couldn't come out of that. Then there was a problem in Bangladesh. The women's T20 World Cup had to be shifted to UAE. Now this particular situation, we have had the whole build up to this tournament, and you've done a number of stories around this as well. Where are we headed with this particular tournament, and what do you make of the state of the venues in Pakistan?
Firstly, it's a pleasure to talk to you, Chandesh, and catch up with you again after a long time. My former colleague, as a former colleague, and I'm not entirely sure about the venues in Pakistan, the state of venues, because in the past when I've done those kind of stories, I've visited those venues myself and had a first look, and then because there's a number of kind of stories going around, we don't know the extent of what is true and what is not true. So to that extent, I mean, at the end of the day. if they're hosting the, I mean, if they've let's not forget the fact that the PCB has issued a media release after Sahil Malhotra's story, and they've actually announced that they're going to have a tri series in these 2 3 cities, Lahore and Karachi, if I'm not mistaken, right after this story, that they're actually these venues are almost ready, and to show that these venues are ready, they're having a tournament there in the first place. So I think there's a bit of a one-upmanship going on there between, I don't know who, and the PCB. But I mean, see, the venues in the subcontinent tend to take time to develop. Towards the end of towards the as the tournament gets closer, things get speeded up. And I've seen that happen in the 2011 World Cup also. The Wankhede Stadium and the Eden Garden Stadium were not completely 100%, and it was a touch and case of touch and go. And ultimately, those venues were ready, and we had a great World Cup in India, which I remember Peter Roebuck, the renowned journalist, said that it's the greatest World Cup that he had seen out of the 6 7 that he had covered till that point. So these things do happen in mega tournaments. When you go for a major refurbishment of a stadium, things take time. Having said that, I think hopefully we're seeing, we're going to see a tournament. I mean, the prospect of India playing Pakistan in Dubai on 20th. I think so. I would rather look forward to the cricket of it, and I think we'll keep getting stories like this, in the build up to the tournament. But I hope things are ready in place, and we don't have any more controversies. As Sheen is saying rightly, that there was a lot of sort of chaos around the 20, the T20 World Cup that preceded the champions. The last World Cup that we had, it was completely in shambles in terms of the pitch preparation and the ticketing and several other factors. The US leg of it was a disaster, if not the West Indies leg of it, in terms of the poor quality of the wickets there as well. The last year's World Cup, the build up was horrible. I mean, the whole tournament, at least I think around 15 16 matches got rejected, which was ridiculous, I thought, for a World Cup and for a world global tournament. So let's hope that these glitches are removed, and we do have a wonderful tournament in place.
We've also got Dwaipen Datta joining us from Chennai, and Dwaipen comes from a city which has had a history of venues of the Chepauk Stadium, where one stand was forever under construction or not considered fit to be hosting a international match, and the 2011 World Cup also, and many other matches we've had situations where the stand was not available. He was also in Kolkata when that Eden Gardens issue cropped up in the first place. Dwaipen, looking at the situation from where you are right now, how do you see the situation? Would you say that the glass is half full or half empty?
See, if Pakistan ends up hosting a tri-series before the Champions Trophy, which they say they will host in the venues, then I do not know whether this entire issue of that the stadiums are not ready, where it is exactly coming from. There could be a case where the things are happening slowly. It's not in place at the moment, but it does not necessarily mean that things are all wrong in Pakistan. Like, there has been a concerted effort on some on certain parts to show that everything is wrong in Pakistan. I am not very sure how much of it is true, because there has been cricket played there. There is being cricket played there, and this is constantly going on and on. In like the Chepauk issue, what it was completely different. Those two stands, like, it was a problem that the corporation had with the association, and that's why those two stands were closed for like forever, till the government changed for things to change. So that was a different issue altogether. But I really do not think that for story's sake, for discussion's sake, this is fine. This can go on for a bit. But as far as the tournament is concerned, I think this is fine, done and dusted, and it will happen in Pakistan the way it has been scheduled at the moment.
So Dwaipen is taking fans' perspective. It's been a disaster the last couple of years. We've seen what happened in India with the 2023 ODI World Cup, with the schedule being announced so late in the day. Then you had the situation in USA where the pitches were horrible, but the fan experience was also horrible. And then West Indies, going to West Indies was also a problem. How do you see it from a fan perspective? Can we afford to have a global tournament? Champions Trophy at some level is also a global tournament, even if it's the best of the best. Can we afford to have such confusion before a major tournament 20 days out?
That's for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's for you, Nitin.
Okay. Yeah, the fan is always shortchanged, isn't it? When a chaos like this happened. I mean, I would give you an example of an event as recent as the 2023 World Cup, when because I had friends who experienced it because they were uh, that match between India and Australia, the first one at Chennai. When the match was happening in that World Cup, when the game was still happening, they were still selling tickets for that match, and you can understand the chaos that in it was almost comical and laughable, because and and you have covered enough cricket, Chandresh. You have also worked with the ICC. You've been around IPL venues. In India, or in the subcontinent in general, um, like a family wedding, like a big family wedding, things generally happen at the last moment. So and I think we will definitely see a lovely tournament in Pakistan, in those venues and I think the PCB has now taken it up as a challenge, and that is why they have moved the Tri Series to the venues that are being questioned. Let's hope that the matches happen in those very venues itself, because nobody really needs this uncertainty.
Srini, you wanted to say something? Srini, you're mute. You're on mute. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting. See, when I was listening to everyone, it occurred to me, and I need to share this. See, this is not about Pakistan Cricket Board at all, or this is not about their ability or inability at all. Pakistan is not at the one to blame here in any way, and I'll give you a reason why. Yeah, I was discussing this even with Sahil Malhotra when he was writing the story. That I told him I should speak with the ICC. More than Pakistan Cricket Board, speak with the ICC, and I have a reason for it. You are allotting a tournament to a country, okay? Uh, Infrastructure becomes your primary responsibility. When you are looking at a tournament as big as something like an ICC tournament, the infrastructure first of all becomes the ICC's responsibility, and that is where I draw a parallel, not just with the Champions Trophy, whether it's a Champions Trophy or whether it's a World Cup in America. And I'm not blaming the US Cricket Board for what happened in America. It is the ICC that granted the tournament to the US and till the last minute. I mean, I have said this again and again and again. So let me put it this way: the loan that Pakistan cricket, and this is something that not many people follow. I mean, that's why I'm like, I'd like to put this in perspective. Pakistan Cricket Board has taken a loan from the International Cricket Council to refurbish infrastructure in their backyard. Okay, that's a loan amounting to around $60 million, right? From whatever the annual grant that they get from the ICC, that money is going to be deducted. $60 million is the amount that has been given to make infrastructure ready for the Champions Trophy. Now, cut to the World Cup that was played in America. $30 million were spent on the ground that was constructed for only to host an India versus Pakistan game. And a week after the tournament got over, it was totally dismantled. Even Michael Jackson never spent, I assuming, that kind of money on his concerts. Okay. Cut to India, where for that kind of money, $30 million, there is a gentleman called Niranjan Shah who has constructed a permanent stadium on the outskirts of a city in Rajkot, okay, which is one of the finest stadiums in the country, and yet continues to be one of the richest cricket associations in this in BCCI. Okay, you understand the comparison, you understand the difference in what I'm trying to say. At $30 million, you construct a stadium and dismantle it in less than a month to host one game, India versus Pakistan. This Champions Trophy ruckus again is surrounded by India versus Pakistan. There is no infrastructure in place. The tournament has been given to a country for no fault of theirs. Why will Pakistan say, no, we don't want a tournament? They've been given to them. What is the ICC doing? And usually the blame lies with BCCI for all these kind of things. And that's where I'm trying to bring in a comparison of a Saurashtra Cricket Association kind of an example, where see how work is done at minimum costs. So these are things which nobody is putting into perspective. Nobody, I mean, you and me are sitting and we are sitting and discussing this here, but from a global media standpoint, this needs to be one of those major discussions, because you're not talking about any random bilateral here. You're talking about a tournament which again is being held under the aegis of the ICC, and that is why this discussion becomes important. Because God forbid if tomorrow, for lack of any kind of readiness, if the tournament has to be moved out of Pakistan, and I wish and I hope it doesn't happen, but if God forbid that has to be done, you are literally looking at Pakistan Cricket Board facing a financial crisis that will cripple them over the coming decade. That is the kind of money that they're looking for, and people don't really kind of pay a lot of attention to these numbers, and then suddenly wonder why cricket is a dying spot in most of these countries. So these are numbers that one needs to kind of pay attention to. And I would, if I was to point a finger, I would put the blame totally and entirely on the ICC. It's like a toothless body here.
Gigi, do you agree with what Srini is saying? Because he paints a very grim picture of the situation currently. And I want to add to it. And Srini has been somebody who's been very vocal about the fact that do we really need a ODI format tournament in a calendar which is already chock a block with so many T20 franchise leagues around the world? We have one starting tomorrow, one starting on Saturday. We have one which is already going on for the past 10 days. Do we really need an ODI tournament right now? Is it not jarring on the calendar, and it's just eating up space in a calendar? This whole tournament, the whole concept.
Okay, I'll give you a this thing example, Chandesh. Will you watch a match between Pal Royals versus Durban Giants? Or in the UAE, I'm forgetting the teams. Okay, maybe some Vipers, something like that. Desert Vipers versus XYZ versus Sharjah Warriors. Okay, and on another channel, there's a India versus Pakistan Champions Trophy match. Okay, which match will you switch to? Switch to? Please tell me which is the match that you would first switch to, knowing the massive build up and the tremendous stakes that are around. Which match would you prefer to watch? Please
No,
tell me, all of you.
I'll watch the India Pakistan match, but I'll watch the
Yeah,
first 10 overs and the last 10
yeah.
overs
You will not watch
of
the India
any innings.
Pakistan match complete. Come on, Chandresh. You will
No,
not
I'm
watch
being
the
very
entire
honest.
India Pakistan match. You will
No,
watch
but
every ball of it, my friend. If there's a 20th over में अगर झगड़ा
the
होता है
middle
विराट कोहली
overs,
और बाबर आजम का, you will
but
know
the
about it and you will have
but
watched
the
the entire this thing.
but Gaurav, the middle overs are a problem. They are a
Middle
major
overs are a
problem.
problem, but not when then the World Cup last year would not have been a hit, Chandresh. It was a super hit. The World Cup last year was a super hit in terms of viewership,
Srini
in
also
terms of
wants to jump in.
yeah.
Srini also wants to jump
No,
in.
no, no. If a 50-over game was only about India, Pakistan, and Australia, South Africa, then there was no problem. Then there is no problem. If we had to identify an entire format basis, an India versus Pakistan at play, or an England versus Australia at play, then there's no problem. See, even with test matches, there is nothing wrong. The test match has numbers. As long as India is playing Australia, Australia is playing England, England is playing South Africa, the numbers are perfect. The problem arises when West Indies have to play Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka has to play Pakistan, and Pakistan has to play New Zealand. That is where the crisis, that is where the issue is. And that is something people are not paying attention to, and that again applies to a lot of people. That day before yesterday, there was a news item that said test cricket needs to be a two-tier system. Nobody is explaining how exactly is the two-tier going to work. For example, in tier 1, I have no problem. Tier 1 will sell. India, Australia, India, England, England, Australia is tier 1, it will sell. How exactly are you planning to sustain tier 2 is something that nobody is willing to answer. So this same question where Chandresh, you asked Chandresh the question about the 50-over format, and Chandresh says India versus, okay, you said India versus Pakistan so sub dekhte hain. Fair enough. India versus Pakistan sub dekhte hain. I agree with you. बट श्रीलंका वर्सेस न्यूजीलैंड कौन देख रहा है, न्यूजीलैंड वर्सेस वेस्ट इंडीज कौन देख रहा है, वेस्ट इंडीज वर्सेस साउथ अफ्रीका कौन देख रहा है, और साउथ अफ्रीका वर्सेस बांग्लादेश कौन देख रहा है,
Gigi,
उस पे बात नहीं हो रही है. एंड in that you're talking about a 50 over format, Gaurav, where I am telling you, not just from the country's fan standpoint, even from an advertiser standpoint, broadcaster standpoint. I know this is not a platform for me to discuss. I need to discuss it on a different platform. But those numbers are pathetic. They are not sustainable numbers. क्या हो रहा है? Because ICC or the BCCI or any cricket board is selling all matches in one bucket. The ICC is not selling, saying that, or BCCI is not saying that मैं T20 separate बेचूंगा और ODI separate बेचूंगा, right? Because of that, the broadcaster has no choice but to buy everything. The day ICC और BCCI would say कि हम T20 अलग बेच रहे हैं और ODI अलग बेच रहे हैं, ODI कोई नहीं खरीदेगा. ये आप मेरे से, इंडिया पाकिस्तान, आई एग्री विथ यू, लोग खरीदेंगे. आप मेरे बात बताओ, यू टेल मी, $170 million is around 1300 CR. You think anybody will pay 1400 CR for a tournament like Asia Cup? They're not going to play. With all respect, nobody's going to pay. They're paying it only because of India Pakistan. So that obviously is the world's largest cricketing property. There is no doubt about it. But the format is far beyond just India and Pakistan. And I think that's where the larger debate of the 50 over format lies. I think
So,
which is not being paid attention.
so Gigi, that's what
By
I
the
was.
way, sorry, one last thing. I'm sorry to say this, but since Gigi brought this up, the World Cup was in India and it was a major hit. I agree with you. The World Cup was in India and it was a major hit. But let me tell you this: if a tournament of the same magnitude had been organized anywhere else in the world, it would have financially suffered. It is because it is India, cricket's most popular and largest market. That is why it came with flying colors.
Gigi, do you want to respond to that? Because I agree with you that India Pakistan is heavily watched. I may not watch it entire duration
अच्छा
of the
चलो
match.
इंडिया पाकिस्तान मैच बाजू में रखते हैं.
हाँ.
राइट नाउ एवरीबडी इज बॉदर्ड. एवरीबडी हैज बीन आस्किंग मी एवरी डे, यार जसप्रीत बुमराह जाएगा क्या चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी में? यार विराट कोहली और रोहित शर्मा जाएंगे क्या चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी में? क्या रोहित शर्मा कैप्टन रहेंगे क्या चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी में? नोबडी इज बॉदर्ड अबाउट इंडिया इंग्लैंड और यू नो दिस एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. नाउ एवरीबडी इज आस्किंग, अच्छा नेक्स्ट बिग टूर्नामेंट क्या होएगा आफ्टर बीजीटी? चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी होएगा यार. अच्छा चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी में क्या टीम होगी हमारी? अच्छा ये होगा क्या, वो होगा क्या? अच्छा हम लोग पाकिस्तान के नहीं, अच्छा दुबई में, ओके. अच्छा क्या शेड्यूल क्या है यार, मेरे को जरा भेजना व्हाट्सएप पे. देन व्हाई इज देयर सो मच क्यूरियोसिटी अराउंड चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी? नहीं होनी चाहिए थी. द वेरी फैक्ट दैट इज देयर मींस देयर इज अ डिमांड फॉर इट. There is a tremendous demand for it. Everybody has been asking me, इंडिया के क्या मैचेस हैं, कब हैं, what is our squad going to be? 10 लाख स्क्वाड दिख जाएंगे आपको अगले कुछ टाइम पे. हमारे पता नहीं कितने शोज होंगे ऑन द इंडिया के, इंडिया का स्पॉट क्या होगा फॉर चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी. सो इफ इट इज शायद 2% इंपॉर्टेंट होगी, इसलिए इतना कोई डिस्कशन होएगा उसके ऊपर.
Nitin, do you agree with this view of Gigi, where he's basically saying कि I've raised the question about the fact that whether this Champions Trophy could have easily been avoided by the ICC and this confusion could have been avoided around the venues if the format had been looked at. But Gigi takes the discussion to a different standpoint where he's talking about the interest around Champions Trophy because everybody want to see an Indian team probably winning another ICC event because the World Test Championship is out of the question. So this ICC event, Champions Trophy, provides the fans another opportunity to probably see the likes of Virat and Rohit for the final time in an ICC event. Probably, I don't know.
I don't think it's just about the Indian fan. I think any tournament which is a multi-nation tournament which has some context to it. Maybe a bilateral ODI series may not have may suffer from spectator fatigue in this era of T20 cricket. But I think when you have a global tournament and with top cricketers coming together playing for a major prize, then I think the interest levels really go up because I mean Rahul Dravid after the end of the last World Cup. Yes, I do also agree with you as well as Srini a little bit that the subcontinent fan is a little bit more clued in to even neutral cricket games. But I don't think the same would be the case in maybe England or in Australia or whatever. But the subcontinent cricket fan, and I would call Dubai a subcontinent venue because of the expat population over there. Because I would think that people really would be clued in. People are interested to see so much talent coming together for competing for one big prize, and I think we had that's why even in venues like Dharamshala, Chennai, Bangalore, neutral games were so well supported during the World Cup, and I think this Champions Trophy also will be very well supported.
So you all can keep posting your comments. आप लोग comment करते रहिए, like करते रहिए, share करते रहिए और subscribe करते रहिए channel को. Dwaipan, if I were to come to you, so the debate is now going to a different direction in the sense that we've spoken about the venues in Pakistan, we've spoken about the delay in the upgradation of the venues in Pakistan. The format itself, whether it should have been an ODI format or a T20 format, is a whole different debate altogether. But is the tournament only and only about seeing the likes of Virat and Rohit probably for the last time, or does the tournament itself uh, have a different context because of the fact that it's an ICC event? Champions Trophy, which was supposed to end in 2013, came back in 2017, and then was junked and mysteriously is now back on the calendar. How do you look at it, Doepan?
See, Chandresh, there, there, there is no doubt that the interest around ODI cricket has come down after T20 has come into the picture. So, if and bilateral cricket has no context. Bilateral white ball cricket has no context whatsoever. Even people who used to follow it on a regular basis do not follow now. Like they don't know what the. So in that situation, if you have to have ODI cricket, then Champions Trophy is fine. One big tournament in once in 2 years, one Champions Trophy, and then 2 years later the ODI World Cup. Then it is fine. But I think the decision should be taken is whether we need the ODI format at all. Like because there is fatigue because of the middle over problem, which people do not enjoy anymore after T20 has come in. It has brought in a completely different package. So there is this fundamental question that needs to be answered, whether we need the ODI format at all anymore. If we need it, then Champions Trophy is fine. I do not mind it because it has a tournament 1 month. It has a lot of context. Best teams playing. It's fine.
And one reason what Dwaipan has hit the nail on the head and is really explained it very well, because one reason why everybody is looking forward to Champions Trophy probably, and they are asking Gaurav so many questions, is because India hardly plays any one-day cricket anymore. There was a time in the 90s जब हर साल 60-70 वनडे खेलते थे और अब तो मतलब गिन के 3 वनडे खेल रहे हैं. इसीलिए गौरव स्विचिंग क्रैक्स, इसीलिए कंफ्यूजन बना हुआ है और सब लोग जो है इस वक्त चैट विंडो पर भी वही सवाल पूछ रहे हैं कि आखिर भारत का चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी स्क्वाड क्या होगा. क्या जस्सी जाएंगे टीम के साथ, क्या रोहित शर्मा जाएंगे, क्या विराट कोहली जाएंगे? अल्टीमेटली फॉर्मेट का ऊपर हम डिस्कशन कर सकते हैं बाद में भी, पर लोगों को ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट ये है कि क्या जस्सी जाएगा, रोहित जाएगा, विराट जाएगा, कौन जाएगा, क्या शमी जाएगा? गौरव बता दीजिए.
मैं बोल रहा हूँ वही तो, यही सी इट इज द दिस वी आर क्रिकेट स्टाफ नेशन. ठीक है ना, ये फॉर्मेट का फैक्टर इंपॉर्टेंट है. मैं मानता हूँ ये ग्लोबल डिस्कशन है कि भाई T20 को ही अब चलाओ और इसको साइडलाइन कर दो. शायद आगे जाके ये T20 टूर्नामेंट बन जाएगा, चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी, यू नो, लाइक द T20, लाइक वी हैव अ T20 वर्ल्ड कप. बट ऑल्सो रिमेंबर चंद्रेश की अब ट्राई सीरीज नहीं होती है, 4 नेशन सीरीज नहीं होती है, जो कि 90s में हमने बहुत देखे, 80s में बहुत देखे. तो थोड़ा क्रिकेट इज टूर्नामेंट स्टाफ इन दैट सेंस. ठीक है, तो साल में एक ऐसा टूर्नामेंट जहां पर कि योर बेस्ट टीम्स आर प्लेइंग, दिस इज अ टाइट टूर्नामेंट. This is not, it doesn't drag like the World Cup. Everybody is not playing everybody, or weaker teams are not there, you know. So I think we do have a space for the tournament like that. I remember the 2017 final was so widely watched. Pakistan beat India in the final. It was tremendous. I think for days long the discussion went how, you know, India was below par. There was a whole problem going on between Anil Kumble and Virat Kohli, and then you know, India had a meltdown that day. Pakistan played way above its skins, you know, like that. So now imagine an India-Pakistan final in Dubai on March 9th. I think that is the date of the final. It will explode, yeah. It will go to another level, you know. Imagine the interest in the final, India-Australia final that day, when we had almost a lakh and a half spectators at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad, you know, and then India had a meltdown. So one-day cricket, I agree, it's struggling as a format, but it is still generating enough interest in terms of the marquee games, the big games. And as Shane says rightly, big games cannot sustain a format, I agree. But फिर भी अभी considering that India has just lost a series and ये वो interest develop होता रहेगा, you know, regardless of the we Indians are to love our cricket too much to think अरे ये format नहीं देखूंगा, वो format देखूंगा. I think अभी भी 50 ओवर्स की जगह है, कंसिडरिंग आवर पैशन फॉर द गेम.
गौर से देखो इस इंसान को चेहरे पे, इस इंसान के चेहरे को स्क्रीन पर बनाए रखिए. सवाल मैंने पूछा था विराट, रोहित और जस्सी, उस सवाल का जवाब नहीं दिया इन्होंने. ये भी बाकियों की तरह ही एक इंटेलेक्चुअल जवाब देके निकल गए हैं. इन्होंने जवाब नहीं दिया, ये बताना नहीं चाहते कि आखिर विराट, रोहित और जस्सी जा रहे हैं कि नहीं. पर एक बात जरूर जीजी ने कहा कि 2017 के चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी में कप्तान और कोच के बीच में देयर वाज अ फाइट, and curiously 8 years later we are going into another champions trophy with a possible problem between captain and coach. बस इतना बताया हमें गौरव ने, और कुछ नहीं बताया. तो गौरव आप बच के निकल नहीं सकते, आपको बताना ही पड़ेगा. मगर मैं आपके पास आता हूँ श्रीनी. आई वांट यू टू टेल मी, will we see Jasprit Bumrah, will we see Virat, will we see Rohit? And there was a question from somebody asking, will KL still be the number one ODI wicket keeper, and on what basis will Pant replace him? There you have Cristiano Ronaldo of all the people has asked this question.
Oh, lovely. Brilliant.
I mean, I mean, obviously I'll come to answer this, but when Gaurav was talking, I was beginning to think of, having spent all those years working with Gaurav Gupta and thinking cricket is the real winner here in this conversation. Uh, so yeah, coming back to Virat, Rohit, बुमराह रहेंगे नहीं. बुमराह तो रहना चाहिए. Why should Jasprit Bumrah not? Depending on once how he recovers. Obviously, he won't play this England वाला ODIs, and उसको जरूरत भी नहीं है खेलने की. और if he's fit enough to straight away head to the Champions Trophy. तो उसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है. देखना ये है कि रोहित शर्मा चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी, ये इंग्लैंड वाली सीरीज खेलेंगे या नहीं खेलेंगे. बिकॉज अगर बीसीसीआई has to drop a statement, then it has to drop with the India England series, because रोहित तो हार्डली उन्होंने कोई क्रिकेट खेला है नहीं, तो उनको ऐसे रेस्ट देने वाली बात तो उठती है नहीं. वो अवेलेबल है सिलेक्शन के लिए. और विराट भी इतने कोई दौड़ दौड़ के विकेट्स के पीछे थके नहीं है वो कि उनको रेस्ट की जरूरत है. सो I'm sure they are all available for selection. So if at all by any chance the selectors are to drop, then it's a major issue. मैं ये बता सकता हूँ, मेरे को नहीं पता क्या होने वाला. Honestly, I have zero idea. Gaurav, someone like Gaurav तो tracks it daily. I hardly track it. But I can sense one thing, because I have tracked cricket for a while. Whatever is happening around behind the scenes right now is something that any cricket journalist should track very seriously. Because there is a lot of drama that is happening already behind the scenes. काफी बातें हो रही है, लोगों के बीच में हो रही है. बीसीसीआई में एक नए सेलेक्टर आए हुए हैं, सॉरी सेक्रेटरी आए हुए हैं. तो जो नए सेक्रेटरी हैं, जो चीफ सेलेक्टर हैं, जो कोच हैं, जो अभी तक इंडिया वापस नहीं आए हैं, वो अभी तक ऑस्ट्रेलिया में ही है. परसों आ रहे हैं वापस. बट उनका फोन लगातार वो 5.5 घंटे पीछे चल रहे हैं वो, in terms of attending the phone calls. And I can tell you that a lot of action is there. A lot of I don't know which way this will pan out. It will pan out with Rohit saying, "Let me lead India for one last, and I will put my best foot forward." Let's not forget, we are talking about one of the finest 50-over batters we have seen, right? Many will actually pick him in India's all-time ODI 11. वो उतने बड़े बैट्समैन हैं इस फॉर्मेट में, तो छोटा नाम है नहीं. तो अगर रोहित शर्मा के कैलिबर का प्लेयर अगर कहता है कि मुझे एक वन लास्ट चांस दीजिए, मैं चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी जाऊंगा, आई पुट माय बेस्ट फुट फॉरवर्ड एंड आई विल see this as my last tournament, BCCI can, and on a personal level, I will say BCCI should make that exception and send him.
We are a skill.
And it will be respectful and it will be beneficial. Both. Same for Virat. I still don't see उसकी फॉर्म खराब चल रही है वगैरह, सब कुछ ठीक है. टेक्निकली थिंग्स आर रॉन्ग, एवरीथिंग इज फाइन. बट वी ऑल अंडरस्टैंड दैट देयर इज स्टिल the world is yet to see an ODI cricketer, a batter of Virat Kohli's caliber, right? So, if you have this in your arsenal, why wouldn't you kind of make that one last attempt with these two names? And mind you, both these guys, of course, Virat has been part of a World Cup winning squad, and obviously both have been part of a Champions Trophy winning squad in the past. But both would like to go out on another high. I mean, they walked out of T20 on a high. Want to walk out of
ODI
a
cricket on
50
high.
over format on a
Yeah,
high. That's it.
yeah.
And as I said, Jasprit Bumrah is not even a doubt here. If he's available, and that is only and only the medical team's call, nobody else's.
So you spoke about Jasprit Bumrah. When I picked up the Times of India this morning, I saw the big story by our friend Mr. Dwaipa and Datta, where he spoke about Jasprit Bumrah's extent of Jasprit Bumrah's injury. Dwaipan, how serious do you think it is? Because we've had similar cloak and dagger stuff from the Indian camp where they say one thing, but it turns out to be another thing. I was just reminded of what used to happen with Sachin Tendulkar at one point of time. It started off with a simple hand injury, and it turned out to be tennis elbow, and all of us became medical experts for the next 5 years with Tendulkar. What is the situation with Jasprit Bumrah? Srinivas seems to think that Jasprit Bumrah is ready to play in the Champions Trophy. May not be.
No, no.
Yeah,
I
Srini?
said if he no no. I said that if he's good enough, he needn't be picked
Absolutely.
for India England. If he's good
Uh,
enough, if he's fit enough, he'll walk
he
into the
tried to
Champions Trophy
audition
squad only.
himself for a place in the Champions
Exactly,
Trophy. So,
exactly.
Dwaipan, again, how do you see the Jasprit Bumrah situation? Are we heading into the same situation like with Shami?
See, the injury of Jasprit Bumrah is whether it was just spasms or whether it is a stress fracture. That is the question. Like if we go back to a similar injury of Tendulkar's in 1999, we will remember that he had that spasms in the first test against in Chennai. Right, he went on, scored 100. Then the next two tests he played with a belt on, and he broke his back, which ruled him out for the next 6 months. So here, what happens is spasms is basically muscular. That's what players who have suffered from it told me yesterday. That spasms is muscular, and if it has not hit the bone, then he should be fit for Champions Trophy. And that's what the BCCI team management had said. But if they are going into that cloak and dagger issue, and if they are hiding some truth, and if his bone has been affected, if it is a grade 1 stress fracture, then he is out of Champions Trophy and he could be in doubt for IPL also. So that is the thing that we need to know, whether it is still a muscular issue, whether it is still a spasm, or whether it is a fracture. That the moment that diagnosis comes, we know whether he is going or not. If it is not a fracture, he is definitely going.
And one man amongst all of us who's tracking that very closely, Nitin, I'll come back to you. But first to Gigi, you track this very closely. What is happening with Jasprit Bumrah? Is he fit? What is the situation? Do we have any word from anybody, or will we have to wait till 10:30 to know more about it?
I think 10:30 type. Matlab, this will keep on lingering for a while. The suspense around it will keep on lingering for a while. मुझे लगता है I have my doubts because what initially my sources told me, जसप्रीत बुमराह is a sort of character कि वो डालता रहेगा bowling जब तक कि वो बिल्कुल मतलब body टूट नहीं जाती उसकी. He is not somebody who will just come inside after a few overs कि यार थोड़ा यहाँ दर्द हो रहा है. He'll just keep at it. So what my sources at BCCI was saying that it looks like it's not good. In the first innings also, I think he came off after Australia was 6 down. And when we needed to sort of close their innings out as early as possible. Second innings he didn't bowl at all. So these are not good signs. That's what I was told, that this points to something serious, because the guy, and he was also remember, I think very close to breaking the record for the all time number of wickets taken by an Indian. I think equal Bishan Paji's record, and could have perhaps
And
broken
also by
Ambrose's
a
record
visiting pacer, a visiting
by a
pacer.
visiting fast bowler. Could have broken Curtly Ambrose's record. So I think records, I don't think that much matter to Umrah in terms of winning our test match was far more important. But I think this points to something serious. And as Dwaipan said, it could be a great one, and let's hope it's not. Okay, so there is a serious issue I'm fearing with him. Considering the way he was sort of ground to dust by bowling him for excessively in every match, which was also the requirement, since your support cast was not sort of picking up a fiver or sixer like that. So you needed him to, and he was obviously unplayable almost every delivery. And moving beyond, just to complete that, आपका question जो आपने पूछा, I think रोहित और विराट मुझे लगता है कि जाएंगे. And as Shini said, Rohit will be given a sort of a VRS scheme कि फाइनल टाइम यू लीड इंडिया आउट, वी गिव दैट रिस्पेक्ट टू यू. जैसे शशांक उन्होंने बीआरएस स्कीम दिया था 2009 में, आई थिंक व्हेन ऑस्ट्रेलिया had come here, 2008, and Anil Kumble, Saurav Ganguly, I remember, I'm forgetting who else took advantage of that scheme.
No, only Anil
Similarly, I
Kumble.
think this scheme, yeah, I think even शायद विराट कोहली को भी ये स्कीम ऑफर कर दी जाए, considering the less number of ODIs that we play now, and if we do not see them in the Virat also in the 27 World Cup team, then this is the time to say goodbye to them, to ask them to say goodbye in the white ball format certainly, and to Rohit perhaps overall, and with Virat perhaps signing off in England. I'm not sure like that. So perhaps that could be this thing. And Bumrah, जहाँ तक ये सवाल है आपका ऋषभ पंत और केएल राहुल, I think Rishabh Pant is now obviously the first choice wicketkeeper across formats. In Champions Trophy also, with Rahul as backup. Perhaps may not even make it to the 11, but at least he'll be in the squad. That's what I feel.
So गौर से देख लो फिर एक बार गौरव गुप्ता को, क्योंकि उन्होंने फिर एक बार एक अल्टीमेटम दे दिया है विराट, रोहित और बाकी खिलाड़ियों को. तो इन्होंने अपना मतलब आप देख लीजिए, सोशल मीडिया पर भी है, गौरव बहुत एक्टिव है, तो आपको वहां पे मिल जाएंगे वो. पर नितिन, taking off from where Gaurav finished, he spoke about the wicket keeping option, but I'm more worried about the bowling options. 2023 ODI World Cup, your two best bowlers, Shami and Bumrah, there is a question mark about both their fitness right now, and if both of them are not fit, is it too much to expect too much from the next set of fast bowlers to be led by Mohammad Siraj? And because they don't have that much experience, could we have a repeat of what happened in the BGT with the younger fast bowlers expected to take the workload of the senior boys who did so well in the previous ODI World Cup in 23, considering we play so little one-day cricket nowadays?
Yeah, this is, I think, the biggest worry. I think the transition, the red ball transition is obviously going to be painful, but I think the bowling transition will also be quite painful for India, and I think we have to expect 2 years of subpar results across formats. Maybe not so much in T20, but definitely in ODIs and in Tests, where you need more wicket taking and more penetrative bowlers. But this is where I feel players like Arshdeep, who swings the ball, who I think should be groomed also for Test match cricket, and maybe Avesh Khan. I think Avesh, Prasidh, and your Arshdeep should be in the squad in case Shami is not fit and Bumrah also is not fit. Then maybe Siraj will have enough support. But then I think they will also be well covered in terms of spin bowling all rounders with Washi, Akshar, and Kuldeep Yadav is fit. I hope Kuldeep is fit because we'll need Kuldeep Yadav there.
Nowadays, Instagram is a major source to find out who's fit, who's not fit. Shami has put out a video and Kuldeep has also put out a video. So, which means that they're sending out a message to Ajit Agarkar. So, in case Ajit is not watching it, probably
Ajit
someone
है क्या
can...
Instagram?
Ajit है Instagram पर, but he's on a private account right now. He's not posting anything publicly. So, Srini, so if you can share the videos of Shami and Kuldeep bowling, that will be a good thing for them to know, because nowadays that is the only way to know, because the captain Rohit Sharma had to say someone from NCA please talk about Shami, and then they put out a press release 2-3 days later. But Srini, just speaking on what both Gigi and what Nitin said in terms of the wicket keeping option, KL Rahul was your number one option in the ODI format. Even last year in Sri Lanka, you started out with KL Rahul in the one-day format. Only in the last one-day you replaced him with Rishabh Pant. Otherwise, since 2020, since Mumbai in 2020 against Australia, in the previous regime also, KL Rahul was the chosen one in the one-day format, ahead of Rishabh Pant. So there is something somewhere that Gigi knows that we don't know. Can you please enlighten me if you know?
I will, but are we not paying any attention to Sanju Samson at all?
Oh, yeah.
But we already have these two gentlemen over here. But Sanju Samson is hardly...
Sanju.
But Sanju is not playing anything.
Sanju will play 15 ODIs in the next 10 years, Shini. Another 15 ODIs with an average of 50, unfortunately.
With the coach that you have as of today, there is no way Sanju Samson is not going.
Sorry, why has Kerala not picked him? Why has Kerala also not picked him?
Sanju Kerala
because he missed practice.
Gautam is not the Kerala coach.
but Sanju is holidaying somewhere. He's not playing. And you see how Dwaipan is maintaining a very strategic silence when it comes to Sanju, because he comes from the neighboring state. So, Srini, what is happening with the wicket keeping options? Are we to assume that just because Rishabh Pant is back in form and because he played sensibly in the final Test match, he's a sure shot for the one-day selection as well?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, sometimes I get this feeling that selectors look at Twitter to pick their 11. I mean, I really don't know how this works because Rishabh. I mean, Gigi saying Rishabh Pant should be your number one wicket keeping choice. I mean, how? I mean, there was no. Are we basing this purely on the last innings that he played in Australia? What are we basing this on? Because if you are otherwise looking at it, KL Rahul was there. I mean, when did that change? And Sanju has obviously kind of listed out his white ball aspirations. I mean, that I'm sure has to reach a graduating level at some point. And I really don't know how Rishabh can jump the queue there. For me, I'm just and by the way, I at a very personal level, I mean I adore Rishabh Pant, the Test match batsman. I really have. I love him. But in the white ball format, I have always continued to have my doubts where Rishabh is concerned. If I had to take that call between KL and Rishabh, I'm not saying Rishabh doesn't go, but KL remains my first wicket keeping choice. Man, the wickets. And I mean, were there enough opportunities given to him? Did he goof up that badly to kind of change it? What do the numbers say? Because again, just the coach who was there until a while ago, Mr. Rahul Dravid, he kind of put didn't wasn't he the one to put that thing in place, like keep the wickets and you're good to go in this format. So how did that change? Has he done really badly to kind of warrant an exclusion? So I'm not too sure about it.
Dwepen, what's your take about the ODI wicket-keeper slot? Where do you stand in that debate?
See, as far as I'm concerned, the way the trajectory in which cricket is going is ODI cricket is also going. We need explosive players are the call of the hour, and the next World Cup is in South Africa, where you need that explosive firepower in the middle. And as far as I am concerned, there is no better batter and wicketkeeper than Rishabh Pant in the country. So, like I see Rishabh Pant in all three formats. I do not. I am not a great fan of this debate whether he should be in the white ball format or not, because I do not see any specific problem in his game which suggests that he should not be a part of the white ball team. Like, why should he not be in the white ball team? That I am not very sure, because the explosive qualities that he has as a batter and the brilliant wicketkeeper that he is, I really don't see why he should not be playing everything every day.
What about Sanju's 200s in South Africa? Does it count for something in the
Sanju,
T20 format?
those 200s are a T20 hundreds, and Sanju can still play only as a batter. There is absolutely no problem if he plays as a batter. Like, he's a fine fielder outside also, but in the on the outfield, and there is no reason why he can't play only as a batsman.
So that's interesting. Nitin, we seem to be going in circles when it comes to India's selection in test matches and ODS. Surprisingly, in T20 cricket, it's more or less sorted. It seems like Surya Kumar Yadav has booked a separate villa, like a clubhouse or something for his T20 squad. They are doing very well on their own. They don't want to bother. Hence, some of his players are also not playing domestic cricket for their state sides. But this ODI and Test selection, especially the ODI selection, just because India इतना कम ODI cricket खेलता है, this confusion always persists. What should happen? Because the big discussion is, will Yashasvi Jaiswal find a place in the squad, let alone the 11? And this, despite the fact that he's been in such imperious form, we are still asking these questions about Yashasvi Jaiswal. Could this have happened with any other team? Because Jaiswal will walk into any ODI side in the world.
He'll walk into my Champions Trophy 11 and he'll open the batting along with Rohit Sharma. So if at all somebody has to make way, it has to be unfortunately Shubman Gill. He'll definitely walk into my playing 11, and I'll have Sanju Samson as my second wicketkeeper batsman, apart from Rishabh Pant. And even KL Rahul sadly has to make way.
So KL Rahul is right now, Nitin, in your view, is in the
Yeah.
difficult space in his career where his Test career hangs by balance. His T20 career is more or less not there anymore, and you're saying his ODI career is also. You would put a pause button on that.
Yes, because I would, considering that the games are in Dubai, and where and Sanju is a fine player against spin who can give you that power option also. I would rate his game against spin bowling better than KL Rahul's game against spin bowling on those pitches in Dubai after a full season of ILT20 and towards the latter half of the season. So I think the wickets might be a little tired, and you need a little more power in those scenarios.
So, Gigi, in that case, what happens to India's spin bowling all rounder options? Because Jadeja did okay in the BGT, but he was not picked for the ODIs in Sri Lanka, if you remember very clearly last year. Is he still first choice when it comes to the ODI setup, or it's going to be Akshar Patel, who was conveniently forgotten over the last 3 4 months? What's it going to be? What are the sources telling you?
Hopefully it is Akshar. I believe Akshar was, the selectors were interested in actually, instead of sending Kotian, to Tanush Kotian to Australia for the last two test matches. The selectors were interested in Akshar, but Akshar had a personal issue, so he could not go. That's what my sources tell me. But the Akshar, I think, will always be in the frame, considering his batting skills, his fielding skills, and his marvelous bowling skills in white ball cricket. सो आई थिंक अक्षर डेफिनेटली, मुझे लगता है कि बहुत हॉट चांस है उनका चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी के लिए. हैविंग सेड दैट there's a lot of competition, as Nitin said. Kuldeep Yadav is obviously somebody who you want in the mix, Chinaman bowler, ye wo. Washington Sundar has been doing well across formats, economical bowler. So he's also in with a chance. So there's a lot of competition there. There's obviously Yuzi Chal तो शायद अब नहीं है उसमें रेस में, बाहर हो गए हैं. But Ravindra Jadeja, I have a big question mark against him when it comes to white ball. I mean, T20s of retire हो गए हैं वो. When it comes to ODIs also, even in this series, he was not entirely convincing to me as a bowler. ठीक है, उन्होंने 77 मारा. He's, and I think we saved the Brisbane Test because of him. Also, apart from the rain factor, but he has not convinced me. His skills as a bowler on flatter decks and on tracks which are unresponsive to his art have definitely declined. So I think, and Akshay is somebody who gets good bounce, is economical, and is pretty tight, and he had a fabulous T20 World Cup. So I think it would be sort of almost stupid to not take him and to build on that for the Champions Trophy as well. It's high time between the two. The choice should be clear. So unless, of course, you're still counting the fact that Jadeja is a brilliant fielder and so on and so forth, it gives you that something extra in the field. So I think more or less you have a lot of competition. It will be interesting to see. But I think Akshar, Kuldeep for his X factor, and Washi get a sort of a shoe in. They are ahead in
Nitin,
the
you wanted
race.
to add something?
Yeah, I don't think Chandresh and others are free to disagree with me. I don't think what they might do the mistake that happened in the World Cup. I mean, once Hardik Pandya went away and Mohammad Shami came back in, I think what happened was the last 4 5 wickets kind of became very weak batting options. And which I think affected the way Virat Kohli and KL Rahul played in that World Cup final for a very long period. So I think what might happen is they might choose the kind of squad that played in the Test matches in Australia with Washi, with Akshar, and with players who may tonk the ball lower down in the order. So they will not make the mistake that they made in the World Cup.
So you're saying even guys like Riyan Parag, who played in the ODI series in Sri Lanka, come into the picture just because of the fact that they can bowl a bit. So Riyan Parag, Nitish Kumar Reddy, Dwepen,
Yeah.
do you agree with what Nitin is saying, that lengthen the batting order, get more of these Nitish Kumar Reddy and Riyan Parag type of cricketers who can do a bit of both?
I think in white ball cricket it works, and this Jadeja and Aksar, I think both can be part of the squad, and the who is playing in the 11 can be decided, as was the case in the T20 World Cup. Both of them played in the 11. Uh, that call can be taken on the basis of form, on how they are going about stuff, and how their batting form are. But I think for this Champions Trophy, both can be part of the 15. Like there is no reason why they can't be. And all rounders, extra all rounders is always the way to go. I think in subcontinent conditions, like Nitish Reddy should be a very good, very exciting option. But he hasn't played ODI cricket, so without any empirical data on his ability in ODI cricket, whether he will be taken, I do not know. But he looks a very exciting option as he's going forward, definitely. And Hardik Pandya too should be there. Hardik Pandya, uh, if he is bowling, there is no reason why he shouldn't be there. So yeah, all rounders is the way to go, I think, in red ball cricket, and have those three solid bowlers and the all rounders.
But one name, Srini, that we are not talking about is Varun Chakravarti. He's done well
Yes.
in T20 cricket. He's done well for Tamil Nadu in Vijay Hazare Trophy. But the coach, the current head coach, Gigi, not our Gigi, the other Gigi, loves Varun Chakravarti. He's brought him back in the T20 format. Is he a dark horse in the entire scheme of things, in your view, for the Champions Trophy?
Varun was obviously a very good hand. I mean, I have always said this in the past also. If there's an opportunity, kind of give him. But I'm just saying that in the current scheme of things, if in the current scheme in this 15, can you find a place for it? I'm saying that Hardik is going to be there. You have to take a call on Shivam Dubey. I don't know how he fits it. I mean, like I'm just saying that he was another guy who you got to kind of ignore. Nitish is there. I mean, from an all-rounder slot, I'm saying, and then Washi is there, and then kind of around all that, do you find a place for 15 में जगह नहीं निकल रही है मैं अगर उस हिसाब से देखूं बट अदरवाइज आई एम ऑल फॉर इट आई डोंट थिंक
50 ओवर फील्डिंग भी करना पड़ेगा उसको. So we'll have to hide him for 50 overs in the field.
Dwaipan wants to say
That's
something. He does
all.
not agree.
Yeah.
Dwaipan does
If-
not agree.
No, I am saying if Kuldeep Yadav is not going, then there could be an option.
Yeah.
Then it could be between Varun and Bishnoi. Like that becomes the obvious.
I
But
was
if,
thinking
but if
I was
Kuldeep
thinking
goes,
there
then
would
it's
be a दोनों को लेके जाएगा बिश्नोई एंड कुलदीप
Bishnoi and Varun both. You were saying.
no बिश्नोई एंड कुलदीप fit है
Bishnoi. अगर
Okay.
Kuldeep did Kuldeep
But
play
if Kuldeep is there, then I
I
don't think there will be place for.
Kuldeep
Has
has also
Kuldeep-
started uploading his videos, I think, of
Yeah,
bowling
he
and all
started
that.
uploading.
Vijay
Yeah, he's
Hazare
fit.
खेला क्या? Has he?
No,
नहीं,
he was
नहीं,
unfit.
नहीं नहीं
Unfit,
नहीं
unfit.
खेला, नहीं
Groin
खेला.
groin surgery हुआ.
You can't
Then
expect
Oh.
everybody to play
It takes
Dwaipan.
time.
They're all getting fit for a big
कल के
season
शो
ahead.
तक जीजी डिटेल्स निकाल देगा
But मैं just on a final thought with everybody, Mumbai has produced some Rohit right now in Australia, and now Shreyas Iyer in the Vijay Hazare Trophy dropping himself down. So there's no debate on Shreyas and his place in the ODI
No.
setup. Just one final round of thoughts from all of you, starting with you, Nitin.
No chance that you're going to drop Shreyas. We would have lost that World Cup semi-final had Shreyas not played that knock.
Gigi.
काश वो न्यूजीलैंड वाली होम सीरीज में होते यार जहां टर्नर्स थे. मुझे मतलब श्रेयस हैज अ वेरी इंप्रेसिव गेम अगेंस्ट द स्पिनर्स एंड आई रियली विश ही वाज देयर एंड आई थिंक ही विल बी देयर फॉर सीटी. भाई बहुत डोमेस्टिक क्रिकेट खेली उन्होंने और उनके ऊपर वो एलिगेशन लगा कि डोमेस्टिक क्रिकेट अवॉइड करते हैं. उसके बाद इतना कंटिन्यूअसली खेला, बेचारे ने इतने रन बनाए हैं. प्लीज डोंट बी सॉर्ट ऑफ टारगेट हिम नाउ. इनफ इज इनफ. ही इज डन इनफ. प्लीज ब्रिंग हिम बैक and allow him to also prosper in other formats. You got perhaps a future India captain, considering his fine captaincy skills that you've seen so far with KKR, with Mumbai. So you got a potential, at least a white ball captain in him. So they should look to nurture him now and sort of further his career rather than keep blaming him for missing some domestic cricket.
Dwaipan, are you ready to forget and forgive?
Shreyas Iyer, I am not a great fan of Shreyas Iyer, but if the Bombay boys are saying he is very good, then he must be very good. I will go with them.
Srini, let's have the final word from you on Shreyas Iyer and India's squad, in your view.
Shreyas at number 4 I don't have any doubt in my mind.
No, you have no doubts in your mind. But with the squad that we are assembling, gentlemen, do you think India can win
To
the
assemble the
Champions
squad
Trophy?
around Shreyas. If you ask me, you had a problem with number 3, I have a problem. We need to find someone there. Number 4, I am more convinced about Shreyas at number 4 than Virat at number 3 or Rohit at number 1. I'll be very honest.
Srinivas is very active on social media. You can find him there and you can ask him further questions.
Shreyas,
But
Shreyas is going
My
to be there. Shreyas, Hardik, these are among the first names that come on the.
Yeah, Gaurav, you wanted to say something?
I have just one question. Will the captain attend the selection meeting when they pick the squad for the Champions Trophy?
Captain
And
to
if everybody fits in and he's not fitting in, will he opt himself out?
अरे एक बात
No,
चंद्रेश
no.
मैं एक बात बोल लेता हूँ about this Rohit Sharma thing. Rohit Sharma, the last 3 ODIs that he played in Sri Lanka, his scores were during Olympics were going on, so we were not following it that much. Is 65, 58, and 34. I
Yeah.
think
Oh,
that
oh.
data is taken into account. It will be difficult to drop him from the squad.
He was the
Thanks a lot,
only guy who
Dwaipan.
scored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dwaipan, thanks a lot for sticking up for a Bombay boy, unlike unlike the others.
मुझे लगा था
But
बद्रीनाथ जैसे बात कर रहे हैं.
but just as a final thought, yes or no answers. With the squad that India is assembling, possibly assembling, can they win the Champions Trophy? Srini, starting off with you.
I mean, considering how unlucky UAE has been for India, back-to-back T20 World Cup, I have my worries. But India can be a great 50 over squad. I see no doubts in that. And yes, why not? We would, for whatever combination we can go, we will have the arsenal to be one of the top squads at the.
Nitin?
It will be a failure if they don't reach the final.
Oh, it's a big statement. Gigi?
Yeah, definitely. We have the Arsenal to go all the way, but I hope our ills in Test match cricket are not forgotten if we win the Champions Trophy or if Rohit and Virat have a great tournament with the bat. And we take the hard decisions that we need to take when it comes to the red ball format. But yeah, I mean, we do have a great chance, no doubt. But then again, UAE has been, as Shini said, it's been unlucky. Or lights, if you don't have a good score under the lights, that track becomes very flat in UAE, in Dubai, and the runs get chased easily. So we could be at the other end of the stick also. So very, very dicey venue, basically, for India.
Final word with Dwaipan, because we are being very fair. 4 of us from Bombay. You're the only one away from Bombay, so you're being very
With
fair. Dwaipan.
with Bumrah, yes. Without Bumrah, no.
Oh, that's a big statement by the wise young Dwaipan Datta. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. Pakistan may have a problem with their venues, but India's venues is in Dubai. Srini, you wanted to say something?
Chandresh, since we started the conversation on venues, I thought it's on the app that we ended with venues. When this talk was going on that, the tournament, India insisted, BCCI insisted that the tournament needs to be played between Pakistan and UAE. There were many who weren't really convinced that we playing in UAE is a great idea, considering how unlucky the venue has been for us. So it was so much that like there were whispers in certain corners कि यार पाकिस्तान में ही सही वहां चले जाएंगे कम से कम जीतने का चांस तो है यूएई में तो
Seriously, absolutely.
कोई चांस नहीं
Very
है
true. Very,
it's
very true.
just
Very
that
true.
it is just that perhaps Pakistan may also have sensed the same thing and therefore they agreed कि इनको यूएई भेज दो.
No, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That's also possible. Like I said, the venues may be a problem in Pakistan, but for India, the venue is Dubai, and that stadium has no problem. It is ready 24 into 7, 365 days a year. So India को चिंता ज्यादा स्क्वाड पे करना है, venues पर नहीं करना है, बाकी टीमों को venue पे करना है, squad पे काम करना है. On that note, gentlemen, thanks a lot for joining us today on Beyond the Boundary. Dwaipan, Gaurav, Nitin, and of course Srinivas. Thanks a lot, all of you, for joining us on this show.
Thank you.
It was wonderful talking
Thank
to
you.
all of you after so many years. But you guys keep liking, sharing, and subscribing the channel. We'll come back with more tomorrow in yet another episode of Beyond the Boundary.